Adele started karate at the age of 12 and earned her first black belt in matric. Adele has learned having a black belt doesn't mean that you're a master. In business, because you have a title, doesn't mean you're a leader. She believes you can be a black belt leader and you can start today. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me a warm welcome for Adele with her talk, Be a Black Belt Leader Today. Please help me welcome Adele Durant.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's a slight dilemma this morning. Over the last 2 days, we've heard all these amazing speaking tips and techniques on how to be these great speakers on the stage. And now I have to come and present on a Sunday morning. So, I decided I want a whoosh as well. I think it's just fair, seeing that I didn't have my opportunity yesterday. Ed, I saw that you came in just before, and I want my whoosh. So I'm going to assume the position, and I would like you to count it off for us. Is that, could I ask you to do that? Right, assuming the position.
Yes.
All right, so here we go.
1, 2, 3, whoosh!
You might think in your mind, when you hear that my husband and I are both black belts in karate, I think you have this question. What happens when they have a fight? I think that you think something like this. We would be standing in the kitchen. Jackets off. Shoes off. We would be assuming the position, and we would be circling one another. Ready to kick, block, and punch. And you would see pots and cans flying everywhere. I think that would be quite a good advertisement for AMC Classic Cookware. Over the last 2 days, we have learned so many amazing leadership skills about how we can become better leaders. Today, I want to share 3 stories of my karate journey with you. And in this, I trust you will learn 3 additional things that you can add to your toolkit to be a better leader, to be a great leader. I want to take you back actually to the first fight that Johan and I actually had. I met Johan at the start of my second year before I went to university. So I was 19 years old, he was 22. He was the sensei at the karate club where I wanted to go and train during the holiday periods in Clarkston. He was a second dan at that point, I was the first dan. Now, for those of you who haven't noticed, I'm rather tall. And Johan is taller than me. And he's one of those people, and I hate to say this, he's one of those people who are naturally fit. I just hate that. I hate that. So we've been going steady for a couple of weeks. And one night we were practicing kumite, or fighting techniques in the dojo. We were assuming the position. We were moving around in a circle. We were ready to kick, block, and punch. That's what I thought. I didn't expect it. I just felt it. Johan did a perfect mawashi geri kick, a roundhouse kick, going from the back, right around, and planting his right foot on my left cheek.
He's blushing.
I saw red. I'm not sure whether it was the impact, or perhaps whether it was a combination of anger, but probably a little bit more complete embarrassment. wait until my dad hears about this. We drove home that night. It was a long drive home, a total of 5 minutes. And I was staring out the window, as we women do when we don't want to speak to the driver. Johan dared to break the silence. Love, are you okay? I'm fine. Which we know from Friday afternoon session is when a woman says it's fine, it's code for it's not fine, and you should know what's wrong, and I'm not going to tell you. We got home 5 minutes later. I was out of the car and into the house. I was going to tell my dad. Johan sort of slumped in behind me and assumed the position against the wall. My dad was sitting behind his huge wooden desk. Now my dad is even taller than Johan. And better built as well. Let's just make that very clear. So my dad was sitting there and I'm going, Dad, you'll never believe what happened. Johan kicked me in the face. My dad sat there. He looks past me to Johan. Johan, is that true? I knew the day of reckoning is here. My dad will show Johan the error of his ways. Then my dad looked at me and said, well, in that case, Adele, you should have blocked.
Yes.
After I calmed down, I started thinking about what my dad said. And to my embarrassment, and the fact that he actually embarrassed me in front of my boyfriend, I realized my dad was right. I was a black belt. I should have blocked. My dad was willing to tell me, his eldest and most precious daughter, the truth that I didn't want to hear, but what I needed to hear. And that is the first lesson in being a black belt leader, is that you have someone who is your truthful dad. Someone who will tell you the truth that you don't want to hear, but what you need to hear. Who is your truthful dad? Who is that person who can show you your blind spots and who is willing to take that risk to make you a better leader and a better person? So I want you to turn to your neighbor and I want you to tell him or ask your neighbor, who is your truthful dad? Right. Thank you very much. The second story that I want to share with you actually happened right the year before I met Johan. And it was right the year after I got my black belt. So it happened during my first year at university. My Sensei Johan Roots, no relation to Johan over here, was a 7th Dan in karate already. Quite an intimidating person and wise in his years in karate, shown by the grey hair that he had. He's about as tall as me. Now, Sensei Johan Roots decided this is the year that we will compete. He came to me and said, Adele, I have entered you in the South African National Championships that will be held in Pretoria in a couple of weeks' time. Yes! Then he said, in unison kata. No. Now, unison kata, for those of you who don't know, now kata is a set of moves that mimics an imaginary fight. And with unison kata, there's 3 of us who has this kata has to do this kata, well, in unison. That's obvious. Here's the clinch though. Wendy and Talita, who would be my teammates in doing unison kata, they are about this tall. Now, if we do unison kata, that means we have to move the same, think the same, and even breathe the same. For me, here was the challenge. So when they stand in front stands, like this, they look quite good, because they're not as tall. But because we have to move in unison, which even meant height-wise, it's a little challenging. Competition day came, and we did our kata in unison, and I thought we did spectacularly well. I did try my best to be in unison. So how did we do? We won! Second place. That didn't matter to Sensei Johan Roots. He was like Charlie with his 3 angels who saved the world. That day, he was marching around in the dojo. Japan, my angels won us silver medal at South African National Championships. I felt like a hero. Monday evening, back at the club, we had our moment of glory. Before the class started, Talita, Wendy and I were asked to come to the front, and the club applauded us. Man, and it felt good, even though we had second place. And for some people, they think, yeah, well, you know, you actually lost first place. That's not how Sensei Johan Roots saw it. He saw that we did well. We represented our club, and we won a second place. We felt amazing. 10 seconds later, it was, "Joy, get on, bro, come on!" And we went back into training. This brings me to the second point of being a black belt leader. You have to be a celebrating sensei. Sensei Johan Roots realized the value of celebrating even small achievements and small successes, because that's what builds you for the next step and for the next bigger thing. People want to feel valued. And if you celebrate small successes every day and you look and find them, people will do that little bit of extra for you. And they will feel valued. So I want you to turn to your neighbor, and I want you to tell your neighbor, I am a celebrating sensei.
I am a celebrating sensei.
Excellent. That is the second toolkit that you can take home today. Now tomorrow morning, obviously not today because you're not in business today, but tomorrow morning when you go into the office, for your team, start looking for that small achievements and start implementing and recognizing it then and there. It's no matter if you recognize it a year down the line when it's their official performance appraisal. It's too late. It doesn't matter. So be a celebrating sensei. The third story that I want to share with you today is about being a woman in a karate club. Now, men, if you do contact sport, you know that you have certain protective gear to protect certain sensitive parts. Am I correct? Now, in martial arts, we have similar protective gear for women to protect certain sensitive parts. Exhibit A.
True, or you tell the story.
It's a story and it is the truth. How else do you think would I wear this? Don't answer that. So this one evening, I was sparring against an older gentleman, is a senior karateka in the club, and much older gentleman, age-wise. And he was about this high, and we were supposed to just practice some fighting techniques. I think he was supposed to aim for the stomach area. Instead, everyone in the club heard as his fist connected with the god. It's not often that you see a black belt man blush in a karate club. This brings me to the third element of being a black belt leader. You have to be aware of the anatomy of your team. Now, what do I mean with this? It's not knowing the details. Okay, you're with me. Not knowing the details, but you have to be aware of where things are. I think that is very important. For a leader, you have to be aware of what is going on in the lives of your team members. You don't have to know the details, but you need to know what makes them tick, what makes them drive, what makes them come to their office every single day to come and work with you and for you. The student, fresh out of varsity, might be wanting that challenge and the push and the drive and the long hours. The parent of 2 toddlers may need a little bit more flexibility to go and collect their kids from school. And another member of your team may be helping a family member face the challenge of fighting cancer and would prefer more stability. You will only know this if you have a conversation with your team members and if you ask them what is going on in their lives. So you need to know what is in the anatomy of your team members' lives. So turn to your neighbor and tell them, I will know the anatomy of my team members' lives.
I will know the anatomy.
Excellent. Before I leave the stage, let me leave you with this. I'm fascinated about how often we leave common sense at the front door when we go into business. Leadership is not about titles, it's not about tools or methodologies or framework. Leadership is about people. And if you connect with your people, those people will choose to follow you. We heard on Friday that people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. That's correct. So what type of boss or leader are you going to be? Are you going to be a black belt leader? You have the choice today. Use these 3 tools of being a celebrating sensei, of having a truthful dad, and of knowing the anatomy of your team to be a black belt leader. So I want you to turn to your partner for the last time, and I want you to say to your neighbor, I am a black belt leader.
I am a black belt leader.
Mr. Contest, Mr. Dating.